All right, I've got some exciting news. This coming Saturday, September the 14th, we are going to be doing the world premiere of my whaling songs. I finished writing it about a year ago, and we're performing it just in a few days. We've been doing rehearsals. Who's the we? The Metropolitan Winds, a group that I play with here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are going to be performing this Saturday the 14th at 3 o'clock at the Lewisville Grand Theater on Main Street in Lewisville, Texas. What I thought I would do is do a little bit of kind of a virtual program notes on the whaling songs. So the whaling song is a collection of songs that would have been sung on whaling ships or about whaling. They're not all sea shanties. A sea shanty is defined as having a call and response section, and only a couple of these songs actually have this. The rest are more ballads. There's a great quote by the famous tuba player and pedagogue Roger Bobo, who said, "There's only two kinds of songs out there: love songs and pirate songs." And, well, we got both of them here. We got love songs, we got pirate songs, probably leaning a little heavier toward the pirate songs. The piece is a 5-movement work, and it's based very loosely on Granger's Lincolnshire Posy. In fact, I use almost the exact same instrumentation as you'll find in Lincolnshire Posy, with one exception. I don't use the British B-flat baritone, but I do use contrabass clarinet, and that's the only real difference instrumentation-wise. And in fact, we are going to be using all of the instruments that, well, sometimes get left out of Lincolnshire Posy. So we're going to have bass saxophone and alto clarinet and contrabassoon, and we'll have the B-flat contrabass clarinet, and there's going to be a nice rumble down in the bottom end of the wind ensemble. And I have to say, sitting in amongst all these extra low players, it really does change how just a very standard instrumentation wind band sounds. It's such a different sound, and I absolutely love how we're sounding on it. So the 5 movements. Each movement is from a different culture. So the first movement is Pica la Baleine, which means strike the whale, and it's a French tune. Although there's some debate, it could be from Quebec, but it's a French language, so we typically associate it with France. It's as lively, upbeat. It is the shortest of the movements at only about 1.5 minutes. This is a true shanty, and it has the most stereotypical lyrics. Ooh la la. Yeah, that's right. The actual lyrics to one of the call and response sections is ooh la la. It's great. The second movement is by far the most difficult. It is a ballad. It is The Cruel Ship's Captain. This movement features just the woodwinds and a little bit of percussion. It is the darkest song in the group. In fact, it's one of the darkest songs I've ever come across. It tells the tale of a ship's captain who takes an apprentice, and the apprentice he pulls from St. James's Workhouse, an orphanage. Now, he wasn't there because his parents were dead. The kid was there because his parents were poor. And as the title suggests, the cruel ship's captain uses and abuses him and eventually kills him. Yeah, it's dark. There are 2 main characters in here. One is the captain, represented by the baritone saxophone. One is the child, which is represented by the oboe. The baritone saxophone has a big, long solo at the beginning, and the oboe repeats that solo with some differences at the end. In the middle, we've got this huge climax with all the woodwinds And you listen to it and you're not going to be able to tell that there's no brass in there because we have all these really low voices in there. And it's just as loud as the full band, but without the brass. Oh, the brass will get their turn. We go now to the third movement, Farewell to Tarwathie. Farewell to Tarwathie is a Scottish song. It tells of someone leaving the town or port of Tarwathie and, trying to make their fortune out on the seas. This song became very popular in the 1960s and early 1970s by some of the folk singers. And this was turned into an anti-whaling ballad. And it came about right as we were discovering whale songs. We finally put microphones under the water and started recording the sounds, in this case of humpback whales. And people were like, oh, yeah, these creatures are communicating to one another. They're much more intelligent than we ever suspected. And Farewell to Tarwathie was a song that helped in the anti-whaling movement. With those whale songs, we're actually going to hear the whales. The trombones will be doing a wonderful imitation of whales through use of harmon mutes and glissandos, and you'll be able to actually hear the whales talking in the second half of this movement, which sounds like everything's underwater. So you take the whole song and you put it underwater, it becomes completely distorted and dissonant, and things are going on at different times, and then you start listening and you'll hear the whales. Really pretty cool effect there at the end. The fourth movement, I have to say, is probably my favorite. It is Rolling Down to Old Maui. It's a song that probably comes out of Hawaii. It tells this tale of sailors returning from the Kamchatka Sea, longing for the earthly pleasures of a tropical paradise and the women there. It features just the brass and a little bit of percussion. It opens up with a very lyrical tuba solo. One thing to listen for is all of the trumpets are now no longer on trumpets, are on flugelhorns. So we have mostly conical brass in this. And big dissonant passages, lots of counterpoint, lots of chamber playing, and huge climax, and it just fades away to a euphonium solo with stopped horns. Just kind of all glowing harmonies. And then finally, we come to the Wellerman. Probably the most famous of these songs, particularly after it blew up on TikTok just a couple years ago. Who would have thought sea shanties would have been a thing on TikTok, of all things? The Wellerman is a song of an immortal battle between the whalers and a whale, and neither will give up, neither will give in, and they're locked in an eternal battle, and no one knows who wins. It's kind of a play on the old German tale of the Wild Hunt, but this time at sea. And this is just fun. It's, simple 2/4, and you're going to hear lots of different instruments. One thing that I really aim for in the composition of this piece is to treat it kind of like a concerto for wind band. Every instrument in the band has an important part to play, whether it's, third clarinet or baritone saxophone, which never gets solos. You'll hear the bass sax, you'll hear the alto clarinet, you'll hear the contrabass clarinet. You will hear at some point every instrument in the band. And that's something that I really take pride in, that I know sitting in the bassoon chair, I'm often left out by composers. They just don't know what they're doing with the bassoon, and then you could not be there and no one would ever notice. I hate when I get parts like that, and I know some of my colleagues and friends hate it too. So I made sure that everybody's part is important. And I hope you're able to hear that in the performance this coming Saturday. I have been a nervous wreck preparing this. This has been a huge, huge labor of love to get done. And I am so excited that we're finally going to be able to present my wailing songs this coming Saturday, September the 14th, with the Metropolitan Winds in Lewisville Grand Theater in Lewisville, Texas. That's just north of Dallas. If you can attend it all, come on down. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to have you hear what we've done. And there's lots of other good music on the program too, including some John Williams, some Alfred Reed, some Vaughan Williams. It's going to be a good program. So can't wait to see you there, and it's going to be a fun concert.